Welcome back after that short break, and welcome to the Summer Showdown. Hex! We're getting into our first game, well, not of today, but the Summer Showdown. Washington Justice facing up against the Boston Uprising. This is the battle for 12th place.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say welcome back after that short match. I got the alert on my phone from the app when we were already 2-0 up, and I'm like, well, don't tune in now. It's going a little bit quickly. This one I think should be a little bit closer. I mean, I guess, is it mean to call it the best of the worst? It's one of my favorite shows on Red Letter Media. But one of these teams is going to actually get to the dance here. And, a famous college coach used to say, all you have to do is get to the dance, then who knows what can happen. Neither of these teams have looked particularly great, though. Washington had their moments, Boston had their moments, but both really been riding the struggle bus lately. But someone's going to get in, and someone's going to have a chance to move up the standings. And who knows, you catch fire at the right time. I think the team with more potential to catch fire and maybe sneak a match or two off of people is Washington, because I think maybe the players that they brought over from Vancouver can start gelling and start being the players that we know them to be.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most exciting thing about tournament format, right? Where you can have these just on-fire moments and streaks, and that's what they're definitely hoping for, I think, both teams. Ain't got a Myungbong, though. Rather similar stats on paper, but I will say Myungbong has looked a little bit cleaner than Aim God as of late. I think one of the best players they've picked up for sure, alongside people like Jerry, to join the roster this season.
Yeah, I mean, the stats are always going to be difficult for supports when your team is not winning and not playing well, but Aim God does have some image healing and sleep dart stats. But I think when the eye test for Boston is you look at them and be like, well, Myungbong might just be the best player on the team, and it's kind of the Kariv thing where every post-game match thread you just see like, I wish this guy was on a better team, but that's not going to be the case. Washington and their starters, the Washington Titans as it were, it's going to be Stitch and Tuba on the DPS. Roar had a couple of interesting plays yesterday. Janu will be his tank partner, and again, the Washington Titans. Aim God and Arc will line out the support line for the Washington Justice.
Yeah, and Tuba hasn't looked too bad recently. I think the meta kind of suits him with the way like Genji, so we'll probably
Genji look good.
Seeing a little bit of that. Genji Tracer, that is definitely going to be the call today, I believe, for Washington. Although I can't tell, of course, not in game yet, but that's just my 5-head prediction skills. Boston, though, now on your screens. Mr. Color Hex, we have Jerry, Fusions and Punk, Halo and Myungbong. And I will say one thing about the tank line. Fusions, of course, being here for quite a while now, but Punk coming in this season, it was a little bit of a turnaround. You saw their stats kind of rise with Punk in the mix. I think we had a stat the other week of their team fight win percent. Adding Punk in raised it exponentially.
Yeah, I think he was the only one that was nearing 50% as far as team fights went. So they played some interesting double shield stuff yesterday. Let's take a look at our maps, and this is going to be a little bit different as we're now officially in the Summer Showdown tournament, which means the higher seed gets to pick the map, and from there, the losers will pick the map going forward. So it leads to some interesting strats, win percentages, and things like that may come into play. But we're going to kick it off on Busan, your favorite control map.
It is, apart from Mecha Base, okay? I know, just recently I've just wanted to play Widowmaker because Arns plays Widowmaker.
Because you're watching all these great Widows,
yeah. He plays Widowmaker. Just any Widowmaker that looks cool, I'm like, I think I'm safe to say with everybody else that watches Overwatch League, it's like, you don't even know. Playing well on that hero. I play that hero now, right?
I played Genji last night, and I despise Genji. But not well, not well at all. But it's just the impact of watching what's possible on these and here. That's the great thing about esports, man. It's so accessible. You get to watch the best people in the world do something, and then you can just boot it up right after it's done, and you can try to do that. I will never slam dunk a basketball. I know that. But I can try to hit a pulse bomb. Like, I can try to do that. So it's the one thing I love about esports is the accessibility. Both these teams running very similar compositions thus far. We'll see what Tuba and Color Hex switch to. Very likely Genjis and Tracers. Yep,
there we go. Just going to say, that would be exceptionally weird. Just on Sim. No Sim. No Sim, not today. Both Dynamites getting sent out. I love the mirrored starts, by the way. Not quite mirrored anymore. Stitch was...
Jerry!
Clicked off.
Did he get halted up into that? He might have.
He did, yeah. As the assist from the Orisa in the kill feed. That was a very good position for them to be in. I don't think Stitch's... I think Stitch's Tracer's easily better, to be honest, than his Ash. It hasn't been inspiring, that is for sure.
Yeah.
Boston Uprising...
been fine.
Yeah, for sure. Like, his McCree is kind of known for his McCree, I would say that.
Yeah,
Ash, a little bit less so. Jerry finds another kill onto Aim God through the window. And then Myunbong just heals over the ARP. Immortality Field goes down, and that will be it for the fight. They managed to cap that too. They sent Color Hex to the point to make sure they can get the easy cap. Although Myunbong going down isn't a good sign at all, especially Tuba now nearing this blade.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult to put down the Immortality Field and make sure that it at least eats up a swipe or two from that blade. Myunbong actually going to switch. He's going to go to the Ana now. Maybe just relying on his pure mechanical skill to be able to stop this Genji. They also still have stuns going on too. I mean, you still have Accretion, you still have Halt, and you still have the Shield Bash. So in a decent spot here. But Jerry's such an interesting player. He went from meme to legit in like his first match.
Double Bob. Oh, nice rock on Janu, who was in the skies. Same with Aim God. Now he's in the heavens as he ends up getting taken down by Bob. Jerry gets solid out on the back line, but it doesn't really matter, to be fair. Tuba at least has the Dragon Blade. He's built that up in time. I thought Jerry was actually going to save the Bob there for the Blade. You said they have stuns, of course. They've got Halt, etc., but they don't have really much else. If the Immortality Field gets burned early, that Blade could be rather devastating, and Bob is a good way to deal with the Blade some of the time.
Well, Jerry's doing 40% of his team's damage, so I think he feels pretty comfortable that he's going to be able to get another Bob pretty quickly.
Ooh, that's a fat anti 5-man with the Halt as well. However, very, very late Immortality Field there made sure they could almost bait bait the rest of Boston Uprising in. Tuba takes out Color Hex 2, who is waiting alongside with a Pulse Bomb. Tuba can now save on this Dragon Blade. They should be able to get to the point rather easily, but one fight territory now for the Uprising. They can save a couple of their ults and go for the next fight if they really want to. Force out the Flux, force out the Blade, and then the match might be theirs, or the stage, sorry.
Well, Boston did switch to this Ana, and generally you're seeing Ana with Genji compositions, though they're both on different teams right now. Boston's in a great spot. They're going to have nearly every ultimate that they could want. So you could Nano Color Hex here and let the Tracer run wild. Nana Brig is unkillable, so there's that possibility.
That is not a good start, I will say that. Tuba falls with, and someone backcaps too. I believe that was Color Hex.
Boston just, backcapped it.
Tuba fell with Blade. Supercharger is going to go down too to try and force Washington Justice to move. Jerry's going to be able to do a good job of that as he forces out the kinetic grasp from the Sigma as well. He finds himself with the rest of his team with a Bob on line 2, so now he has the Bob for the Blade. Tuba needs to be able to send this out rather quickly because the rest of his team are just dying. Arc and Emil God are going to fall. Tuba needs to be able to pull the Blade. He has to get a 6k at this point. Jumps on the other. The Sleep Dart missed, but Jerry and Punk are taking over the game. There's the Bob. There's the kill. Boston are going to take the first stage.
I'll say I'm very impressed with how Fusion's played his Orisa, mostly known as a Reinhardt, but they've been running a lot of double shield, and even I think Punk played a little bit of Reinhardt yesterday when they wanted to run a different combination. But the Halts have not been going into accretions, the Halts have been going into Jerry hitting headshots, and that happened several times throughout that map. The very first kill they got was a Halt into a headshot. Jerry is crushing on this Ashe right now, and Boston look like a pretty solid team right now. Washington never contested the point. They give up a lot for free there too, where just back caps were coming in. The very first capture was just a Tracer on the point. And Jerry uses the little tube.
Ooh,
Stitch has no idea he's there.
A left-click headshot, just without the scope. Yeah, there you go. Oh, Bob was actually on the Bob was on the little whatever that thing is. I don't know what it is. A shield thing? I don't know. Regardless, it was funny. Bob elevated to the high ground. Retracting wall. There you go.
Yeah, that's really easy to say. We should call that. We should make that call in game a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
It's easier to say than most of Sigma's abilities, that's for sure.
That is true, yeah. The Eat. The Flux. Yeah. Flux is pretty easy.
Yeah. Except it shares a name with another ultimate.
Yeah, well, you know, it'd be like that sometimes, X. Well,
yeah, it's a really hard job. I'm complaining about it. Yeah, anyway, Jerry's getting a ton of damage done early, but it is Washington with getting better positioning and control of the point early on.
What was that? You see Raw just like... They would basically have a melee fight, him and Fusions up against each other. Look rather funny. Give Orisa a punch. That's what I say. Well, she can punch, but as a main ability. Punk punches Janu, and Angeles finds 3.
With Stitch down, Jerry just took the really high ground there. Took it up top, and you know what? You got some kills, Boston. I'm sure that the legs have been, you know, withering away here during this season, so get your squats in when you can, I say.
Good lord. It's too much of that today. I've had enough. I want sensible Overwatch from here on out. It's not going to happen.
Well, I mean, if they added more dance emotes and stuff, I think we'd see more of them.
Ooh, nice little stick on the foot. Oh my word, you see all that damage? I want to know how much pulse point damage that was. That hit 6 people and sent Raw and Jano extraordinarily low. Jerry has that bob at his back. Of course, Tuber is nearing the pulse spawn of his own, and the immortality field has gone out fairly early as well for the Uprising. It's not a bad sign at all. Bob is going to get sent all the way near the spawn of the Justice and do absolutely nothing because they ended up rotating on it. This Fusion ends up going down as well. I say nothing, actually. It's keeping Stitch undercover.
Nice. Jesus. Jerry has like 3,000 dynamite damage so far. He's just getting so much value.
So one of the reasons why Ash came back into the meta was because of that reload change. If you changed it back now, it actually felt like eternity. It did before, but even more so at this point. It felt like eternity before you could reload the whole rifle. The 12 shots before, it's now 15, of course.
Yeah,
Justice
there's something you can't
taking the point hex as well.
There's something you can't quantify about the Ash change, and everyone just says it just feels better.
There's a flux in the side. Tuba does miss the pulse bomb. And field saves them for the time being. Good rally, though, by the Justice. They can now fight this with the Supercharger at their backs. Nice little angle, though, for Jerry. He's just picking people off who tried to go for these big flanks. Tuba didn't stand a chance. A headshot from the Ash ends his life rather fast. And now a rotation for the Uprising down onto the point. Fighting around that Mega can be good if you can control it. And a lot of extra healing in there, but it's a little bit unfortunate when you've got a crack shot like Jerry, especially up on the high ground, and forcing the Justice to fight them head on or try and skip out and dodge the shots from Jerry.
Well, Boston's in a decent spot now, too, to be able to control this point. If they get pushed on super hard, they're going to have a rally up. Arc is a mile away from that, and Punk's got his flux.
Yeah, I believe that actually got interrupted. I don't see anything up in the sky. Must have. Punk still controlling this mega health pack room. 80% now on the board for the Uprising. Washington Justice are going to have to make a move. They're dodging out of the way of the window from Aim God, and Stitch ends up going down to Halo of all people. Now they're all isolated on the side. This is going to be the problem for Justice, I will say that. They kind of isolate themselves, and it just allows Color Hex and Jerry to just destroy them as soon as they do end up moving out from cover. Fusion does fall to Tuba's pulse bomb, and he manages to get onto the point to trigger overtime, as well as a potential cap as well. Punk in the 1v1 does manage to win it, but still, the flip is going to come through for Tuba.
Yeah, it got really scrappy there, but Tuba's able to get onto the point because most of Boston was in low health scenarios. Boston only needs one capture on this point, though. They're nearing a Bob. They've got a big advantage here, but Arc has the rally. All you have to do is, if you're Arc, is just make sure you do not die with rally. It can't happen.
Yeah, they could rally early, predicting the flux coming out from Punk, or you could rally a little bit later. But like you said, if you die in that rally or you die before, the team fight might be over as that Bob and the pulse bomb and the flux is coming online. That's a nice position from the Bob too. That mortality field's going to get almost instantly killed. There it goes. They're going to have to do the damage now. Tuba's found himself in the back line with a lot of HP and a lot of armor. That's a 3k for Tuba. Him and Arc just dove on the back line to make sure Boston Uprising couldn't do all of anything. Fusion's now on the ball to try and get back to the point in time. Overtime ticking down, and a lot to deal with the Wrecking Ball. There it is. They got pushed off the points, and Washington Justice tie up Busan for now.
Where's this Tuba been? He's got 12 final blows. He leads the entire server in final blows. A lot of that came on the cleanup there towards the end, but that's a Tuba Tracer I haven't seen in quite a bit. Looked really, really nice.
It's a perfect stage for it as well now. I mean, Genji, we spoke about it before. He did have a fairly decent performance on it previously, but this Tracer, it feels like you need to be able to match Color Hex on the Tracer, because the Genji, unless you're someone like Sparkle, normally has a little bit more of a tough time. The Genji buff definitely helped the 1v1 because the right-click spread has been it's been kind of shortened, so it's not as bad, but it's still not a favorable matchup, just going on the mobility of the Tracer. Yeah, Tuba, if we can see some more of that, the Washington Justice are in a pretty good couple of maps.
Jerry's locking legs here.
Ah, my favorite heroes, legs.
Everyone calls him legs now.
Yeah, it's not Soldier anymore. Beautiful bio grenade again from Youngbone. Forced the immortality field so early. It's going to get destroyed too. Janu and Raw just still so low. They're struggling to keep up with the healing. They're not expecting Youngbone to kind of just been holding these corners. It's kind of gross. I did mention before, he's probably one of the best pickups they've had. Myungbon is just an absolute crazy Ana player, and I'm not surprised to see him flex over to it over the Baptiste, because if you can get things like that done with the grenade, it's infinitely better for you, because normally Ana's not picked because you're against double shield, the nade is almost useless, but they're setting up Myungbon so well that he's able to succeed with these bio grenades.
Boston has never had a difficult time scouting and finding talent. They've had a difficult time holding on to talent. Sometimes, if you're a Boston fan, you almost feel like a farm team sometimes. You're getting all these great players who've gone on to great success with other teams if you could have just kept some of those guys.
Oh, the flanking legs, the deadliest. Oh, he's with Halo and Punk to make sure he can survive. Gotta be careful though, the point is being contested by Janu, although you can see his health bar, he's just getting chunked out and chased away, and he's dead now, okay. I don't think the Washington Justice were too concerned about helping Janu there. It felt like they were just trying to deal with Jerry, who's permanently on the flank, on legs. Do not do this in your solo queue games, by the way. The reason why he can succeed is because, well, one, Jerry's an absolute animal, and he's got Halo and Punk with him.
That's Boston in really nice control here, and they haven't really even had to use ultimates. They're going to get 6 up, and because they won these early fights, they're in a big advantage over Washington. Washington might just want to play this slow and poke, or go aggressive and try to get ultimates out.
Oh, the nano visor, maybe? Oh, there it is! Oh, they got no mortality field. It's going to go down almost instantly to Color Hex. Can he find any more with it? Oh, he gets 2. Aim God and Stitch. Nano visor. Best ult in the game, baby. There's one more as well. Oh, only narrowly escapes with his life. But Boston Uprising, 75% on the board. I mean, look at the ultimates coming alive for Justice. They've definitely got in this fight, Hex. It's whether they can actually get back and actually stop stop this supercharger from doing a lot of damage.
Well, I mean, the silver lining is they died before they could waste ultimates. So Bob's going to be able to touch the point at the very least. You aim him right at the drum, and he'll put some point presence on there if you feel like no one else can get there. That's exactly what happens. Bob is going to go in onto the point while the rest of the team tries to take position.
Oh, man, that Bob, yeah, almost instantly died. Both rallies going off as well. Fusion ends up going down to Stitch. Good start for the Justice as they move on to the point. Raw's taking the very big anchor position at the back there, using that supercharger damage just to rain in the bullets. They should be able to take this fight with ease unless Jerry just absolutely goes ham. And I say that he is. Missiles kill 2, but and Stitch is going to go down as well. The flanking legs. He's going to do it again. Color Hex has earned himself a pulse bomb too. He gets dragged back into it. Oh dear. Raw, absolute 9-head, manages to get the kill onto the Tracer. Here Halo now jumping into the back line, finds a kill of himself, and that should just be it. I called it the other way, Hex. I thought Justice had it, but you cannot underestimate Jerry's flanking legs. Boston are going to win Busan and take a 1-0 lead in the series.
Yeah, Mr. Morrison showing up big there. I used to think the most satisfying feeling on Orisa was maybe on an Ilios or an environmental, dragging a couple, 2, 3 in. I think now that is the goal of most satisfying Orisa. Pull a Tracer back into her own pulse bomb. What a great play. And yeah, this Boston team, we always say it with some of these teams that are struggling. You look at this team and you look at individual performances. They have the talent to pull off victories. And against a team that's at your same tier, you can win those games if you just have carry performances. Jerry on the carry in this first map.
Jerry on the flank, on the legs. More, please. Map number 2 coming up soon, guys. Don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss it.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by ZipChair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
You know he had to do it to him. Jerry locking the leg segs. It was a marvel to see, honestly. I mean, even the whole impulse bomb, to be fair, Raw should probably get player of the game for that, maybe. That's definitely going in a few highlights for sure. Hollywood is going to be our next map.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of Soldier 76. That round of Busan in particular. So there's options for it. You don't have to lock the Ash there. And I think once you get into that room opposite of the points, you're able to rotate a lot and use the corridors and the little portholes to get in and out in spaces you want. So yeah, really good play from Jerry. Like I said, when you have two teams that are struggling for wins, sometimes it just takes one performance out of one player to really get you going and get up there. Our next map, which will be chosen by the Washington Justice, is going to be Hollywood.
Yeah, of course, we are in tournament rules now, so the winner does choose... Oh, sorry, loser chooses, and winner chooses the first map, even. So I correct myself there, but
yeah.
I want to say Widowmaker, and I want to see a little bit more. I want to have Jerry on the Widow, and can Stitch/Stuber stand up to him? I'm not entirely sure. If you have a player on a hot streak, and we spoke about it, in fact, in the last series, it can be very hard to actually shut them down. I think Myeonbong was also having a fantastic game. Having his team set him up with the Ana nades is just fantastic to watch. That's one of the biggest things that Ana's lacking currently is the whole I'm not Baptiste, basically. The whole AoE healing, immortality field, etc. It's just a bit of a pain. And I will mention it again, it's very nice to see Boston playing to their individual strengths, knowing that Myeonbong is a fantastic Ana player and setting up for those. I can't imagine we're going to see it here, especially on the defense or the offense, because there's too many walls you can kind of hide the immortality field around, and Ana requires a little bit more sneaking up with, and the enemy team kind of playing into you and going for these big nades.
Yeah, but you can run it on the offense because it means you don't have to push your Baptiste in with you. Ana can kind of sit back on first point and just heal everybody for the long sight lines. You can make that work. Some teams have done it recently. I'm also just curious if Washington is going to try to run Genji on it, because we've seen Genji run on this map before, and I think that would fit to their strengths. In my opinion, I think that's Tuba's... It's one of his best heroes that I've seen him play, and there were some miscalculations as far as the blades went on Tuba's Genji, but overall I think this is a map you can definitely play a Genji on, and I think that was their game plan, picking it, is to run a Genji Ashe or maybe even a Genji Tracer as we go forward, especially into the second stage if you want to start running dive and take high grounds, or you want shields, or you want a hybrid of both. So I think that was the logic in Washington Justice picking Hollywood. And yeah, they are off onto the Genji on the defense. We'll see what Boston ends up on here. Of course, they're in offense, so you never know until the last second.
Yeah, classic kind of meta comp at this point for the Justice. Flex on the Tracer again. Not too much of a shock there for either. So yeah, there you go. Myeonbong's actually changing over to the Ana instead. You were right to call that one, Hex. Why would I be surprised? You're always right. It would be silly of me not to believe that you're right.
I mean, I just always get the good vibes when color Hex is in the game. I'm Hex who does color, so, it just makes... It's like the world is speaking to me, yeah.
I wonder if he named himself because of that.
I really, really hope not.
Of course not. That would be absurd. Do you know what the absurd thing is? Tuba's got almost no ult charge, unfortunately. He's going to have a little bit of a tough time here. There aren't too many massive flank angles for him to do much. He's going to have to rely on rotations and then dealing the damage then.
Yeah, you're kind of just...
Uprising going to go to high ground.
You're waiting for them to line up in one of these stairwells so you can dash through and maybe come back in and just get a ton of that early damage.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly what they need. Oh, Jerry, though, managed to pick off Stitch again. It's very reminiscent of the last game. Nice little hole. I love the holes, too. You don't even need to combo with a pulse bomb. Just Tracer at the back, just doing so much damage. So they need to actually pay attention to color Hex, I believe, because Janu is going to fall very quick. Same with Raw. These nades have been so good. All you need to do is hit it on the backboard as well. There is a blade in the back, but yeah, so it disappeared. Halo died, but Punk just kind of jeweled him out of it. That's the problem without a nano, right? You lose the damage boost plus the damage resistance, and it's so hard to get these chain kills that Genji's well, they're known for.
It was actually the first ultimate ability I started using the term ambitious for, because you'd always see these Genjis down like four players on their team go for a blade, and instead of calling it what it was, it was learning the art of casting. It's an ambitious dragon blade. Gets shut down and gets nothing out of it.
Yeah. Ambitious. It's a good word.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it means bad. It's caster talk for bad. But
yeah, so you could say that was an ambitious pulse bomb. He did try and stick Arc, which would have been Very big pick, but unfortunately didn't go through. Big dynamites from the high ground for Stitch. Very good playground for him at this point because he can just kind of sit up side. It's harder for Colorhex to get up to the high ground.
Big anti.
Flux as well, straight on top of the team. And Colorhex is doing what he does best and sit in the background. There was no one really, again, kind of paying attention to him. He's able to get away with this for free. And we're talking about the invisibility factor, kind of the cloaking device that Colorhex currently has is pretty good. I mean, yeah, there's no one paying attention to him, to be fair.
Exactly, there's no one to check him. A lot of times in these compositions, and we've seen different styles of Genji play, but Genji wants to be up front. He wants to be climbing walls, getting shurikens over top, looking for giant dashes to build up that blade. I mean, yes, he's gotten better. His kit is overall more well-rounded, but your bread is really buttered with your ultimate. Punk takes out Stitch, just takes a slow ride up. But that just means there's no one checking the Tracer. There's not another Tracer out there looking for it, and so far, Colorhex has just run roughshod right over the Justice.
There's a nano, it's on Colorhex. They get Flux in the sky. I believe Colorhex is still in the background. Yes, he is. He's earned himself a pulse bomb as aimbot of God ends up going down. The clean one clip of melee for Colorhex 2. Now they're paying attention to it. Oh, the halt back into the stick. That was pretty clean. Very nice. Don't see that every day. You normally see the halt coming in, then the stick, but the stick was lobbed out first. Nice.
Yeah, I've seen both, and they both work. You can just drop it on the ground, and then the halt goes right over it, and yeah.
I'm surprised it's stuck. That's what I was surprised about.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter which order they come out in. Teams have gotten so good at comboing those two. Oh, staggers.
Oh, that was horrible. If I was Janu in that would have been. I would have just walked forward. So there's no way I'm going to survive. It's very painful to get staggered out by these comps because you get dragged back in, you get rocked, you can't kill anybody because once height field comes down, you get dynamited. So it doesn't feel great.
Nope, it's not awesome. Just gotta accept your fate sometimes there. Boston is setting a pretty fast offensive pace here, but Justice gonna try to initiate so they can get 2 fights before last.
They send the Bob in. Tuba can't go in now. He's on fire, has to wait for that to disappear. Bob is gonna get killed by Jerry. Still looking for an incision. Bob gets sent in as well by the Boston Uprising. Blade still yet to come out. Tuba's waiting for the perfect moment. They're all anti for the time being. He does use the blade, but Colorhex has already done the damage. He gets one reset, but can he get more? He's so low up in the skies. Punk ends up finishing him off with the spheres. Again, it just felt inches too late, Hex. By the time he pulled out the blade, Colorhex has already killed 2 in the backline.
Boston's literally punching Justice to death. There were 4 melee kills in that last fight. Colorhex got 2, Fusion's got 2. Now Jerry is going to make a switch onto the McCree. We've all seen his great McCree in play, but 3 minutes left to push this cart. Only a tiny more distance.
Oh, nice little nano on the side. Now Colorhex, it's time for him to go to work. Oh, stunned. Whip-shotted. Mercedes Halo actually saying that. He snipes Aim God in the backline, who's also switched over to an Ana of his own. Halo still sticking around on the payload, somehow still alive. Myeonbong is doing his very best to keep everybody up, but it's working out rather well. He's sitting back, not getting impeded by any of the DPS from the Washington Justice. Tuba's going to have a tough time running into the Kree and running into everybody else too. Stitch ends up falling, and Raw can't quite make it back to the point. 2 minute 26 in the time bank for the Uprising.
2:26 indeed. 33-7 is the final kill count in favor of the Boston Uprising. That one never fell in doubt. It's just strange to me that you would run a Genji and not an Ana with it. I mean, yes, he's better than he was, but it's the Nano Blade is still where it's at, you know? Like, it's not playing around your map pick and your strength. If you're picking Hollywood so that you can play Genji, then why wouldn't you give him all the support that you need? And we've seen other Genjis are really thriving because they generally get a ton of support, armor packs and nano boosts and a lot of things like that. So a very quiet round from Tuba. Very, very quiet. 5 final blows. This is final stat line.
5 final blows.
It leads his team. I mean, the only other 2 people with final blows are Arc and Stitch. They each have 1.
Well, they still got a chance, Hex. Every team still has a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Always winnable.
What was all that 1 in a million talk, huh?
No. Don't come at me like that. It's always winnable.
Okay.
Oh. Why are you?
All right. Let's get a little Hanzo here.
Why is Jerry getting bullied by Punk? He pushed him off the car.
Well, I mean, he is a punk, you know.
True. True. Is he into punk rock? That is the question.
Everybody should be into punk rock a little bit.
True, dude. If you grew up in the early 2000s, my extensive Sum 41. I was going to say collection, but it's actually just all on Spotify. Oh, this thing didn't do all too much. Should be good.
This Hans was actually a nice pick too, because it has the mobility to match Tuba. If Tuba wants to be good wall climbing and kind of playing alone like that, then the other Shimada can come up there. Also, just gives them all the information in the world. Color Hex still invisible. Tuba gives him a little bit of a check.
Yeah, he really does have that cloak invisibility, doesn't he? Yeah, now they're going to have to pay attention. You see, Stitch was waiting for it. He knew. He knew. He was actually on the stairs waiting for the recall or Color Hex to actually make an engagement. He did just that, and Stitch just two-hit him. Good kill onto Jerry as well. Lack of DPS now for the Boston Uprising, and, well, just lack of everybody else too, as Fusion just goes down. Nice little stagger. Well, not really too much of a stagger on Halo. I thought it was going to be longer, but they managed to cap the point. Quick shot.
Yep. Very, very easy, and it was Color Hex kind of buying into his own hype, I think. He just double blinked out in the middle of nowhere. He wasn't using corners or anything, just chasing it down. And you can only do that one too many times without getting caught by an errant Ash shot. That's exactly what happens. Tuba's able to find Jerry as well, clean him up, and without any damage. I mean, this composition is not going to put out damage without your DPS. It's just maybe you get an anti-heal, and Fusions just starts with the tracking of his life on Orisa. But for the most part, losing 2 of anything, tank, support, or damage, is the end of a fight.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. A little bit of a different defense here from the Uprising. They're taking the high ground earlier on. It's pretty good for the Sigma, of course, the splash damage. Yeah, someone needs to kill Color Hex, who's continuing to contest the payload. He did get halted and forced to recall too. Use those triple blinks to get away, but from the armor pack from up high, he's going to be able to do a little bit more damage here than I think Washington Justice really want him to. And damage, I mean, just holding the payload. He doesn't actually have to do damage at all right now. Oh, well, that was interesting. He knew the deflect was down too. That was just a whiff. Oh, Nano, Blade, straight on top, bashed. Can he get a reset? Yes, he can. Punk, Halo dead. That's a 3. That's a 4K. Can he make it 5? Yes, he can. Tuba is in the server. Maybe a 6th as well, as the Orisa is clamoring round the shield. The 6K for the Genji. The Nano boost was all that he needed.
Yeah, that's why I was talking about it in between the halves here. I just don't understand why you wouldn't run the Nano Boost with Genji still, especially when Tuba has shown that he can get the blades and he can have great target acquisition like that. A last-second touch here, though, and a good Dragon is going to let Boston get back into this.
Well, Tuba paid for his sins. He got donked on the head by Halo. However, that Bob is going to have to be an extra thing that Boston have to worry about. Should be an easy team fight here. Janu did use Flux at the start, and having Bob and Flux out at the same time, it's pretty hard to actually deal with. There you go. All said and done. 2-man anti means nothing. And Boston Uprising, 2 of them get back spawned. It's both the tanks. The Orisa should be okay, I say that. She's on fire. Please save. No, please save Fusion.
That was a really nice shield. Oh, probably died on top of the health pack, very likely. But Boston did a really good job there with the stall, and it was partially to let their tanks try to get back out alive, because the spawn points, similar to Gibraltar, will sometimes just mean like, oh, you're dead because you spawned this time. But also, they forced out Bob, and they forced out the Graviton Flux, and now Punk is going to have the Flux on the other side of things, and with no Baptiste on the field, the Flux should pretty much get full value here, if they can just line it up right.
Yeah, the question is, when does Roy use this supercharger? Does he max Fusions with it? They could use the supercharger early to kind of force Punk away and not use the Flux, but it does kind of give him a big opening. And there's a lot of space for him to kind of cower around as well. Not cower, he's not a coward, but you know what I mean. There's the supercharger. Everybody clicking Q at the same time there. Rally coming out from Boston Uprising as well. They know they want to fight. Punk getting chewed out. You can see that Nade just doing so much work from Youngbong, keeping him alive. And he gets Nano too off the back of it, to make sure he's alive and well. Aim God has the Nano, he has armor too, and Tuba has 70% on that blade. A nice little lead on the pulse bomb. You have to get back to spawn. Youngbong ends up going down to Tuba in the back. The Nano boost was on him, he didn't need the blade. That's an easy 2K for the Genji, and a nice little shuriken there at the end, finishing off Jerry. Tuba really coming alive on Hollywood. Couple of more meters does remain. Boston Uprising are going to be able to get back to the payload in time. Punk jumping over to the Wrecking Ball. It's going to get taken out rather swiftly, but still, they have to contend with the blade. Oh, the slow. Not sure what happened there. I think he just got punched to the left-hand side. Jerry gets taken out with a boulder. And that will be the Boston Uprising fading away. A couple of meters remains, but 2 minutes and 29 in the time bank for the Justice. Over the 2 minutes of Boston Uprising.
Hey, I like Hollywood. Do you want to do it again? Let's do it again. Just reset it here, a little less time to make it a little less easy for the offenses to push through. And yeah, that's what you get when you nano a Genji. I mean, it's kind of as simple as that. And then there was a really nice, good job by Washington to stagger people out. And they were patient, holding into the corner there and used the ultimates at the correct time towards the end. And Boston, even though they got 2 kills in the penultimate fight towards the end, the spawns just aren't enough to get out there. And you're just buying time. And it felt like Boston really thought that they had a good enough offense to just be buying time for their squad.
Oh. There's the blade. Oh, the 6A was so clean. He got bashed as well, but that 2-man slice they got both on the Brig and Punk. And then the resets just speak for themselves. He knew he had the 6K in his sights. As soon as the bash comes out and the boulder as well, the rock, it's pretty easy for the Genji. You just have to basically wait those out, which is rather unfortunate. But luckily enough, he survived early on. Not only through the from the damage reduction from the nano blade, nano boost, sorry, but the armor pack that was flung at him as well.
Yeah, the only thing that was going to stop that was going to be a sleep dart. So it's really, it's the only surefire way to stop a nano and Genji is the sleep dart, then hope no one wakes him up, because even at that point in time, he's still got a couple of slashes left. That's the worst feeling as an Ana, to do your job perfectly. A dashing nanoed Genji, you hit a god tier sleep dart, and then, well, it's usually in my games, it's a Torb turret that wakes him up.
Oh, the classic wake up with Torb turret. Yeah, I am that Torb, by the way. But my turret does a lot of damage, so it might kill the Genji, but
special
probably
turret.
Not. Well, here it is. Boston Uprising on the offense. They're still running Myungbong on the Ana, mind you. I really like this from Boston Uprising. They know the Ana is suiting Myungbong's wheelhouse a little bit more than the Baptiste.
Yeah, it's also good against the Genji, and I like that Washington is also continuing to run an Ana because they have a Genji. So Ana and Genji, that classic combo, it is the fair and mercy of that support and damage duo.
I want to see Tuba's 25% to blade, still having a little bit of trouble. Whoa! Trying to get the high ground there. Punk got denied it. Was pulled off using the hold, but they are going to take a nice little position on the point, and Tuba's going to go very low in the 1v1 versus Color Hex. Managed to dash up to the high ground just in time. Early nano boost onto Punk. He's going to be an unstoppable killing machine in the cafe. There's no way you're going to be able to survive that in God, sadly. You see him turn around there to make sure he can heal the rest of his team, or at least try to. Punk with the nano boost. Devastating force. It could be fairly frustrating to kind of deal with a Sigma anyway, just pushing into the cafe because the spheres do so much damage in AoE, but a nanoed one as well, it's just awful.
I like the spheres that go up the stairs. It's the ability in Overwatch that feels the best when you do it and feels the worst when it happens to you.
Oh, 100%. They do a little bit of movement as well too, I believe too. They like slowly nudge you. Oops.
Yeah, that's why you can use the tech on Hanamura to get up there.
Oh, Stitches on Widow now.
All right. It's a good map for it.
Widowmaker was definitely hasn't been popping off, I should say, but he can kind of tag Jerry. Might not be a bad thing at all. AimGod narrowly avoids.
Is there a Vortex eating pulse bombs over there?
He's got Blade. I may not even matter, to be fair. Yeah, they just clean up everybody regardless. Jerry got killed off instantly with that Blade. And that will be the halt on the payload for the Justice just after the doors. Boston Uprising. They know their win condition now. They got to hold that first point and a little bit extra, and they're going to find themselves match point in the series. The Justice have got, what, 2 minutes and 29 seconds to do it. Not the tallest time bank in the world, and it's going to, I feel again, it's going to rely on Tuba getting this blade online. It's not going to be hard for AimGod to get nano. Pretty easy to get, especially with the dynamites being thrown in and all the poke damage that Jerry and Color Hex can do. So that's going to be no worries. It's going to rely on Tuba getting this blade off, though.
Yeah, if it was only like a minute, I think you would actually take into consideration if you're Jerry of not running Ashe because you don't want to be feeding into the nano. It's very possible that they don't get it, so you want to go for something more like a Hanzo or a Widow where you're not just doing a ton of damage that's not resulting into kills. You want pick potential. But with 220, getting a blade and getting a nano is almost guaranteed. Boston needs 2 defenses on first to hold this one. And Washington, given their setup that they have and given the explosive ability of a Nano Genji, it would be surprising if they didn't win this map, in my opinion.
Well, there you go. An opinion you should trust. Hex 2020.
Yeah, it's my slogan.
Just Hex, an opinion.
But it's got
trust.
one of those sarcastic, like, you know, slash S's at the end. An opinion you should trust.
Maybe, maybe not though. Well, I'll take that at face value, Hex. I'll never trust your opinion again.
As if you did already. All right.
No. Right, slow initiation for the Justice now. Like I said before, and like you said as well, it's all about Tuba kind of setting up for this blade. It's going to be easy to get the damage done, though, on the offense, I can imagine, just because they can take high ground fairly quickly.
Yeah, no one even up here checking it. Blind Dynamite over the top. Pretty easy.
I want to see what Color Hex is hanging out on the Tracer again, because he was being an absolute menace last time around. Beautiful nade from actually both honors. Raw Janu got purple, then Fusion's Punk purple. Ended with a kill onto Fusions. Ain't God is also going to go down. Now Jerry's just coming into his own. My word, you can see why they want to play Ana.
That first Dynamite hit the shield. It bounced off the shield like a basketball, like bouncing around on the rim. Then the shield died. They hit the nade, and then the Dynamite explodes, and that's how Tuba's first life goes. Brutal. Tuba's only got 29% now.
That wasn't even like a set-up play. That was just kind of unfortunate. With
no, that Dynamite literally just bounced off the shields cracked, and then they walked over it.
I can still try and build this up. It's not lost just yet. Genji definitely has a higher ult build rate than he had before. Although marching as 6 around this corner now. We're going to take the fight on the low grounds. Nice little Dynamite again. They can kind of hear it. Oh, someone on the side. They sleep onto the Tracer. No, Color Hex gets away. He's managed to recall out just in time. And a big Dynamite to follow that up as well from Jerry. A lot of damage being reflected by the Genji, but not finding all too much. He's now lifted up into the skies. Janu just not... Oh, he was trying so hard to stop the Genji from going down, but that Flux just resulted in 3 kills for Punk. And now 1 fight for the Justice remains, Hex. 30 seconds in the time bank.
The Punk Flux followed by the Punk Rock, and then the Spheres just completely cleaned it up. But that's a result of over-chasing on Color Hex. They hit that dart. You think he's dead to rights. He wakes up just in time. His alarm goes off at the right moment. He's able to recall out of it, and it is do or die time. But it might be die time. Tuba doesn't even have his blade yet. Aimagod's just been sitting on this Nano forever. You can Nano Punk here. I think you Nano Punk here on Boston's defense.
You Nano
or Nano Brig. Nano Brig never dies.
Nano Brig does never die, true. She's almost got ult as well. There's a beautiful nade in the back line. Halo and Mimble are purple. Can they result with kills? Yes, they can. A nice little melee from Tuba, but he does get slept while he's nanoed, mind you. However, the Bob's doing a fair bit of work to push Boston Uprising away from the point. Now Jerry's alone, still managed to find the kill somehow onto AimGod and Tuba. And now Fusion's in the 1v2 up in the front lines. He's trying to take down Arc, but it was too much damage from Raw, ending his life rather swiftly. Jerry is still alive near the point and can potentially get back to touch, but they might just want to fight near the doors. Jerry's going to have to try and, he's going to have to try and reset. He does just that. Yeah. Nail-biting finish now for the Justice. OT is here. They cannot exit the payload.
Well, Myeonbong, I think, had a chance to leave, but he very well could have been chased down by the Genji on the other side, so they do end up losing too late. Jerry's going to go to the Doomfist for this pick potential. On defense, you only have to win 1 fight in overtime.
Oh, further roll out. Oh, and Collex goes down to a headshot of Stitch too.
Can't happen. Can't happen.
And they don't even go for the touch. I think they were relying there on actually Color Hex going for the touch. Washington Justice now tie this series up 1 apiece on Hollywood. That looked so winnable for the Uprising there on that first point. Jerry was on fire. He managed to kill 2, but the Justice surviving through the thick and thin. Keeping Raw and Arc alive at the end with the rally was important, and then finishing it off. They didn't need the blade in the end. That was the one thing that I thought they needed. Hey, just the nano on him to then blow out the cooldowns from the Uprising was apparently all they needed. And that will be 1 apiece now in the series. This is an elimination round as well. I gotta remind you guys, this is the start of the Summer Showdown. Loser picks the map 2, so it's now Boston's chance to decide. We're gonna jump to a quick break, and we'll tell you what that is after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And welcome to yet another game break presented by Pringles Wavy. Zoe here, joined by Costa and Reinforce, and this is our Summer Showdown qualification match happening between the Boston Uprising and the Washington Justice. It's currently 1-1 apiece, so let's break down the action. Starting on that first map, Boston coming out looking solid, pretty much exactly what we expected from Boston. They ticked the Boston boxes. What would you say, Reinforces?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Reinforces.
Yeah.
Yeah, they looked reinforced compared to yesterday. There was an Uprising because they did play that composition we expected them to do, where Colrex was manning the Tracer and Jerry was playing the Ashe, and they played this double shield composition. So nothing out of the ordinary yesterday, and I think that this probably should be enough from the Boston Uprising to win against a team like the Washington Justice. Boston struggled yesterday, which was a bit uncharacteristic because we have been on the up for this Uprising team, but they disappointed yesterday. But still, it should be enough to beat a team like the Washington Justice. They looked fundamentally strong, play a rigid, solid style. I like what I saw coming out from them. And the Washington Justice didn't really contest the Boston Uprising on Busan in map 1. But then, of course, because we have losers pick in the Summer Showdown, Washington Justice were able to pick Hollywood, and that's where they changed up the pace a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the value of having the losers pick, right? Is they go to Hollywood and they get to play the Genji style on Tuba. We talked about it yesterday. They look significantly better when they have Tuba on his comfort hero of the Genji, and he he really was the person who was the difference maker in this match. The amount of value that he got from each of his blades. It was close because I think Boston Uprising are playing well, but the blades essentially pushed them over the line. There was a couple of mistakes from Boston at the very end, like that Fusion's committing his bongo before the last fight, and then Color Hex dying so he couldn't touch the cart, and then we all saw, unfortunately, the Jerry Doomfist went for the sick tack off of the dumpster, but instead he just accidentally punches it and doesn't go anywhere. So you hate to see it on that one.
Yeah, hate to see it.
Absolutely. Now, Tuba finally making his presence felt. Even on that first map, when he played Tracer, there were a few moments where it's like, oh, okay, Tuba is here, and it was probably one of the better Tracer performances we did see from him. However, the team overall just looked kind of disconnected. Nevertheless, if we're looking at our crunch time presented by Pringles Wavy, we do see Tuba making yet another appearance, and of course he's got to be on his Genji.
Yeah, here we see just a sick 6K. He did miss one dash. Both me and Johnny, when he messed up this dash, were like, damn, that would have been amazing if he had hit the last thing, because he did everything else perfectly. He even gets stunned, but he gets the cleanup, gets a lot of great dashes. This is really hard to execute in the heat of the moment, especially against these tops. That is the dash that I was talking about. Unfortunate to see, but he does get the 6K nonetheless. And it's just, as we keep saying, it's good to see Tuba because it feels like he hasn't really had any hype coming around him. He hasn't been put in the opportunity to perform, and now we're getting to see it.
Yeah, and if the Washington Justice wants to win this series, I feel like this is the play they need to base it around. And I feel like Tuba is the player that the Washington Justice should rely on when it comes to winning this match. So I'm not counting out the Washington Justice yet. I mean, going into this match, I think a lot of people predicted the Boston Uprising, rightfully so, because they are the favorites. But the Washington Justice, they showed yesterday against the LA Gladiators that they have a decent peak level if they can get some good performances from Tuba on the Genji and rely on Janu on the off-tank as well. So if, especially with the losers pick situation we have here, if Washington Justice can rely on the loser pick maps and then perhaps win one of Boston's maps, suddenly Washington Justice walk away with the win and qualify for the Summer Showdown tournament. So this match is not over by any means. Washington could win this match.
Absolutely. Now, Boston Uprising is now in the seat to pick the next map. What map do they want to go to effectively shut down what the Washington Justice are looking best at, and that is the Genji?
Can they choose any game type? So I'm a little rusty on the rules. I'm not 100% sure.
Me neither.
Does anyone know? I would like to see them go to Junkertown, though. If Junkertown is in the pool, I think that definitely suits their style more. Get on the Tracer, get on the Widow. I think that makes it really hard to play the Genji, and we saw that earlier today.
Right.
Well, apparently it's Anubis, so not that.
That's actually a bit surprising.
I don't like that at
I
all.
don't like that pick, because suddenly Tuba can dive on point A and point B with the Genji. And yes, maybe Boston feels comfortable playing like a Brig Baptiste comp here, but can get messy.
I mean, I just gonna assume coming into this that they have set strats on individual maps, which they know are in the map pool, unlike us who don't know which map type is coming up next. But I just gonna hope that they had something very set in mind, and hopefully they can execute it on their pick. Now, once more, I want to remind everyone that once the qualification match is over, we are going to have the selection show happening live here on Watchpoint. And that means that the teams which are seeded 5th to 8th will be picking their opponents for their matches next Friday. That is the first round of our Summer Showdown. And also, to make it extra interesting, the vice president of the Overwatch League wanted to up the stakes a little bit, and he decided to throw in an additional $1,000 for the teams and players who have the funniest reveal of their opponents or response to being selected. So
the bands.
Let's see if that was a mistake. You know what? I'm gonna really up the stakes here. I'm adding $1. It's 1,001 now.
Oh, 1,001.
I mean, if that's not an incentive, looking at you, Hunter, then I don't know what is, honestly.
Yeah, if Hunter doesn't come in, I'm just disappointed at this point.
Exactly. Just putting some extra pressure in to this one. But this is enough from us. We're heading right back to all the action between the Boston Uprising and the Washington Justice. So stick around for Hex and Joss to call the action.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor. Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back. This is the first match of the Summer Showdown. I'm joined by Hex, of course, and we have the Washington Justice versus the Boston Uprising. If you've only just joined us, where have you been? It's one apiece in the series right now, and just to briefly go over the rules of the Summer Showdown, no hero pools, plus loser picks the map, and winner picks the first map of the series too. So now we're having Washington Justice, Boston Uprising picking this map, and they've chosen Anubis.
Yeah, and they don't have a very good record on really any assault map, so I guess Anubis would be, as good as any other. I believe they are 0-1-1 on Anubis, so hey, a draw. It's actually their best control map based on that. Hanamura would be close because they are 1-3-1 on Hanamura, so not the greatest map type. It's not been a great season for the Boston Uprising. Let's just be dead honest about that. But they had to pick one of these maps, and Temple of Anubis seems to be the order of the day, let along Sightlines. And when your best player right now on the team performing the best is Jerry, that makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, Myunbong's also been performing pretty well as well, mind you. Switching over to the Ana, playing more in their wheelhouse and more of their strength, which is definitely the Ana from Myunbong. You can see the team setting him up with a big anti-nades. But yeah, Jerry, let's be real, he's the main carrier right now for the team. Well, the Color Hex is not having a bad game either, just being ignored by the Washington Justice.
He just had a pretty bad map. Dying before he could touch the cart. Those pulse bombs were ambitious. I guess they weren't hitting anything, and especially without a Baptiste on the field, to not be able to stick pulse bombs is a little bit troubling. There was one spot where he missed completely on offense, and then in the exact same spot missed completely on defense. Those have to connect when you're not really even being challenged by a Baptiste or anything, and he kind of had free reign a lot of the time, but then also the blunder to get picked off at the end before they could even touch and contest that was a little tough. So look for him to turn it around this game. They're on offense, so who knows if we'll be playing the May or not. May, of course, very good on Temple of Anubis to just let you in, to block off the doorway so you can rotate to the offender's left side, and then you wait for the cooldown and then get another wall in and try to take that high ground. But the Washington Justice on defense, running a dive defense here, Jaws. I love it.
Oh, yes, they are. Classic dive, kind of, apart from Brig, of course. Brig definitely stronger than the Lucio in most aspects right now. The only thing she lacks is a speed boost to help the team, but armor is pretty good. So helping with the dive, helping Stitch and Duba stay alive.
I always think a classic dive is Zen Lucio, but, Ana's pretty good. Has been in the meta really since she's been introduced. So we'll see how this ends up working out. Boston is going to run a much slower composition with the May and the double shield, so this is all about just setting up shields, getting in, very likely going left side. There's that first wall. It'll get him in there.
Yeah, well, someone's on the high ground and
in trouble.
Trapped. Jerry is in trouble. Just managed to receive the armor pack just in time. Nice little bio grenade too onto Raw. Got stun locked as well. Halo managed to get the shield bash off him.
Yeah, it's huge.
Color Hex taking the kill. That's the main portion of the dive for the tank side, at least down. However, that bio grenade's going to at least make them play passive for the time being, although they can't follow up because Janu and Tuba is just taking way too much damage. So they're going to rotate to the point basically for free.
Yeah, talk about a team kill early on Roar. Like, 5 people were involved in that kill.
That is a beautiful wall. That baited aim got in to try and get around it to heal, and then instant halt, instant kill for Color Hex. That should just be first point. Although, Punk and Myunbong are going to go down. 2 ticks guaranteed now for the Uprising, and Color Hex is still alive on the May. Self-sufficient is the May, mind you. Tuba finds yet another kill in Jerry. Blade's going to come out as well. There's a kill onto Halo, but he gets left-clicked, or right-clicked, sorry, by Color Hex. That's the point going over. The Lucio just for the additional stall and the attempt to retake, but it's not going to be fruitful. That'll be your first point. Captured 5 minutes and 30 seconds on the point now. On the time bank, sorry, for Boston Uprising. And Tuba doesn't have Blade because he thought
that
he
Blade
could
can't
clutch out
happen
at the end.
That Blade can't happen, and I was assuming he was going to switch, but then also I'm looking at it and AimGod's got Nano, and that could just win you a fight. Boston rocked that fight, and Washington had trickled back in, so now a ton of ultimates going to be available for Boston. Most importantly, very likely going to be this Blizzard. It can cover nearly the entire point here, and then they're going to have Bob and Nano. Boston's in a great spot here, and it's largely because of Tuba. Like, Tuba should not have used that Blade at the end.
Oh, and Stitch shouldn't have been there. That's a very easy headshot. Well, the Nano Boost is going to go into Tuba regardless, and he still manages to kill Fusions and the dash as well onto the Supercharger. Blizzard is going to separate the rest of the Justice, but they have spawn advantage, and Raw's still alive with the Primal Rage. He's going to jump back in after the Bob disappears. The nade does land in the back line. Jerry is taken care of by Janu, and they do manage to get on the point and secure a tick, but that is going to be it for this attack.
Pretty useless Bob there too. It ended up going way too far. I think he wanted to hit the short wall on the points, but it went to the far wall. Nice cleanup there from Roar, as everybody will be backed out. But as you mentioned, 33% of permanent progress. They reached 49, but that doesn't count. We do it in thirds here at the Overwatch League. See if any changes come out. And yeah, Boston's going to go to this kind of classic brawl where they put Jerry on the Reaper. Reaper often saw play on this map, but usually on defense on the cleanup because it's a really short area of the point. So now Tuba and Aimgod are both nearing their ultimates at the same time, but Boston can just roll in here. I think what you want to do is just rally, wall off, and just, you know, shooty shotguns.
That's the sound of the cavalry marching forwards. Halo is going to activate the rally, but Youngwong ends up going down to a stray self-destruct. Nice little flashbang by Stitch, but Jerry was able to clean him up. The defense is looking good for the Justice. They're able to get a little bit of progress on the point, but that's going to be about it. Nano Blade available for Tuba.
Yeah, they don't use it.
Because they're all...
That's why that fight worked out so well. And there's going to be a late stagger too. Nice little deflect there.
Yeah, that was pretty nice. He knew the shots were coming in. Regardless, stagger's pretty good.
Yeah, so Tuba's able to hold that blade there, which is really nice. Boston was trying to just rush that, but losing your Ana there early on really hurts. Now you can potentially get in here with a Nano onto Jerry. Color Hex going to have Blizzard up again and grab. So you can grab them up to make sure that you're not going to get blocked out of hitting that Blizzard exactly where you want and just land them into the icy cold of that Blizzard.
There's the Nano, there's the blade straight in. Doesn't matter, the stuns piled into him, but the 6k blade yet again, or 5k. Raw stole the 6k. Regardless, it still looked flashy. You see how many stuns came out. He was completely... it just doesn't matter. It just went over his head. Oh my word.
Another reason for Justice fans to be upset with Roar. Steals the ace. It would have been a 2-ace match for Jerry, or for Tuba, excuse me. All right, but silver lining here is Boston is that it went so poorly so quickly that they didn't end up using ultimates there, so they're going to be in a small advantage, though Arc will have the rally to save his team if they get Blizzard.
Uh-oh.
Who'd they nano?
Jerry's nanoed. Oh no. Oh, he can't get to anybody because everybody dove away. He got a lot of damage down onto Johnny. Johnny was going to throw in the self-destruct, actually. The Blizzard at least going to cut the rest of the Washington Justice off. And the rest of them are going to get the line straight back down to her. But Tuba is just solo carrying right now. Color Hex and Fusion's down with a single dash. That'll be Justice holding on to the point yet again, finding themselves a team killers. 1 minute 30 now remains for the Uprising. They had about 5.5 minutes before.
Yeah, I think it's just that's a coordination issue. I think you would rather have the Grav come out first and then use the Blizzard. So you can get for Grav, and then the Blizzard should zone them out before that. It happened in the opposite order, and may even happen at the same time, which is complete anti-synergy. You don't want to lift people out of a Blizzard. But right now, Boston Uprising are just banking on Jerry getting a Death Blossom in. There's not a ton of stuns, but...
Nano Blade, same place. There's the rock, the dash in. He was saving the cooldowns. 1 kill. Make that a second. Raw steals another one. Janu as well, cleaning on up. Tuba gets 2. We're supposed to get 6, but his team have had enough. They've decided they want the kills instead. One more fight now in the bank for the Boston Uprising. They've got the ults to do it, Hex. The Nano Blades have been fairly consistent from the Justice. Definitely their win conditions, but they're not going to have it for this last fight.
Oh, they're going to have nothing. And again, the silver lining for Boston is that it all went so bad so quickly that they do get one last push here. Rally still up, Blossom still up. If you can get in a good spot as well, you could actually supercharge the Blossom too, and they should be able to crack shields because they're going to have an amplification matrix. I just don't know if there's going to be enough people in one spot for a Blossom to really get a lot, so you can... I think you dedicate it to one person.
TP to the back. Right behind you. Almost, I thought he was going to click the Blossom there. He's waiting for the final few moments. Raw had to duel him out, unfortunately. He ends up paying for it. Death Blossom still available. Big Biograde and Fusions to the front line, but Immortality saves him for now. Color Hex with 2 as well Tuba is 66% towards the blade. Not going to be able to touch in time. They had the ult advantage, and it was only a matter of time, in fact, that Boston did feel like they were going to take it. The Bio Grenade's been so good from both Ardas, but it was just not enough for them to make a dent in the Boston Uprising's offense there. They managed to cap. No time in the bank, though, so a very nice win condition for Justice here if they finish with over a minute on the second point.
Yeah, Stitch died with Bob in that last fight, and maybe it wouldn't have made a difference, but at least it would have been presence on the point. Maybe you can get a Wrecking Ball out there at the very end, but he took a Rivet Gun right to the dome. Torb is such an interesting hero because if you can get really good at that primary, he becomes an astounding hero. I think that primary is underrated. People think of Torb as just this kind of turret bot, and then the right clicks, of course, the Roadhog gun up close, but at those long-range left clicks, you can duel out Widows sometimes. We'll see how the defense comes out for the Boston Uprising. They are going to stick on that Torb. Torb, obviously, more thought of as a defensive hero. Rest of the roster will remain similar, but Myungmong is going to go to the Baptiste, very likely anticipating a Genji from the Washington Justice, so you can drop down the Immortality fields and at the very least waste their time. Because we've seen it a couple times. A nanoed Genji getting stunned, it just slows you down. It doesn't stop you. A non-nanoed Genji getting stunned very well might kill you.
Yeah, you're instantly dead. Where's Collector going to put the... oh, well, there you go. I was going to put
stairs
it on the...
stairs is always a good spot.
I always put it on the little... I don't know what it is, like a little window in front of that bridge. So
yeah, top left.
They get owned, but it's kind of bad, because as soon as they kind of look at it, it's dead. So the turret is a little bit more protected at this angle.
Yeah, this helps if they are going to try to rush right into the point, and given that Washington Justice just ran a dive defense, you might be anticipating a dive offense.
Well,
so if they just go... yeah. If they go right to the point, then the turret can actually get a lot done on that stair angle. But as you mentioned, Washington making a bunch of changes, at least on the tank lines here. Stitch goes off the Ana onto the Ashe. Tuba, stay in Genji.
Yeah, I do love that grapple spot on the spawn. There is a there is a hitbox above you, though. You have to be kind of careful. Taking it at an angle makes it way more consistent, and you can get those jump shots onto the high ground to normally secure the Widow duel fairly easily. Jerry's on the flank, though. Beautiful Bio Grenade again from Aim God. That hits 4 people in the front line. Forced out the Immortality field, but everybody's still so low already. Tuba's going to go in with the resets now. And Stitch is going to be able to follow this up with some damage, too. This turret doing all of absolutely nothing, unfortunately, as the Boston Uprising are just going to get rolled on first. Rather reminiscent, though, of their offense as well. Now Aim God has the nano. The Blaze has been the biggest thing that's enabled them to win. 65% for Tuba already.
But you mentioned that anti-nade was just enormous because Boston is supposed to fall back to the point when they get pressured out too much so that the turret can help out and deter the Genji. But the anti comes in and everyone is so low, and Genji seeing low target heals, you drop a rock on your shift and just move your mouse. You can take your hand off the keyboard.
You're done. Oh, Tuba. Oh, no. Oh, the nade's going to help him. He's going to be okay. A little bit of damage reflected, though. He's going to have Blade in another couple of shurikens. That's all they're going to be waiting for. Very early pop, though, on the point to try and contest fusions. There's the nano, there's the Blade. Immortality field down. He's already used the dash, though. He gets the reset off the Bob, actually finding the kill. Coach Gun is going to force him back to the point, but the damage may have already been done. With Pug falling, there's very little tank pressure on the point now. Fusions is going to be able to hide around the shield, and a late Bob will help Jerry secure a couple of kills. Color Hex as well, very hard to take down. The win condition for the Justice has been used now. They're going to have to build up towards that Blade once more. Color Hex staying alive was key for them in that situation. That turret does a lot of work, you'll be surprised, but I was surprised Punk went down that early, but he was a bit caught out on the side.
The Molten Core helps a lot there too because your team can just sit in it and then Tuba can't really do a ton against them. You don't really want to be dashing through the Molten Core and taking all that damage. So Boston in a nice spot here, but the Justice are nearing their own tank ultimates. Roar and Janu are going to have to start making some noise. We haven't really called their names. Punk, we've seen make some individual plays, but so far Roar and Janu have been quiet in the support role, but that happens when your Genji is getting 6Ks.
Oh yeah, it helps pretty easily. Oh, rally. Nice little hold, though, into the Flux. Everything goes so low. That rally armor is still being applied, mind you, but Arc does end up going down. Was caught in the corner. He was separated himself from the rest of his tank. Same with Aim God, in fact. They both went to the right-hand side now, if we're looking at this POV, and the rest of the tanks actually dodged backwards. Oh, hammer kill! Oh, there it is. You get one. Stitch was trying to escape, didn't see the hammer coming. That's another one to the board. Oh, that's what we should have. I just thought of this, not really that off tangent, but we need a hammer kill leaderboard at some point at the end of the season, when the season completely ends, when 2020 ends. We need a hammer kill leaderboard. That would be pretty impressive.
I think we did track it. I think we do track that stat. I think we had one last year, especially when Defiant was in the league. Defiant and Mangachu, I think, going head-to-head, we were definitely tracking hammer kills.
Okay, Nanoblade available rather soon. They can use that supercharger really early. Bob as well, in fact. Whoa, that's a lot of ults. There's the Nanoblade. Tuba now setting up in a nice position. Bob is going to be there, though, to deter him, but he's not quite deterred just yet. He goes for the Bob. He actually gets blocked by the Rock. Can he kill anybody off? Yes, he can. Jerry manages to kill him, but he manages to kill off 2, and AimGod is still alive on the point, healing everybody up. The Nanoblade worked for now. 2 minutes on the board. 2 ticks as well as soon as they clear fusions off. There's the second. They need the third to grant themselves a free attack. Punk comes back on the board, and the Molten Core is going to split the rest of the Justice. Jerry's trying to go for a solo mission on the Mega Health Pack, but Janu is there to match him. Punk is still alive somehow on the point, but Raw finishes him off in the end. And now Carla Hex trying to go for yet another hammer kill. He might be able to get it. No, Janu finishes him off. I don't think he had any ammo left, so that was the only thing he could do. The punch in for Jerry ends Tuba's life, but Janu is going to make his life a whole lot worse, killing him off and sending him back to spawn. 2 ticks, now a third, and a map completion for the Justice with time remaining, and they're granted a free attack.
Yeah, Boston Uprising, the best they can hope for right now is going to be a draw. The Justice will have probably 2 cracks at this one unless they take a really, really long first push just to get 33% on that first point, and they will go up 2-1 in this elimination decider play-in match for the Summer Showdown. I decided to use all the words because I couldn't pick one, but whichever team loses here will have to sit at home and watch next week as the Summer Showdown will conclude. And, I mean, yeah, it's been a tough year for both of them, but you still want to be invited to play. I mean, it's, sitting on the outside, watching all the cool kids play kickball. I guess I'm just repressing memories right now. But that ain't fun, you know?
It's a lot on the line for both of them. And a lot on the line for Hex's childhood, too. It's okay, mate. You're invited to my kickball games. I've never actually played kickball. A lot of people are going to hate me for this. I actually don't know what kickball is.
It's kind of self-explanatory.
Well, that just seems like football or soccer, I should say.
Yeah, so I'd imagine, like, did you guys just not have it in Great Britain?
Probably. I just wasn't an athletic child.
Well, I mean, it's very much baseball, but you just kick the ball, right? So it's that's why I was assuming, because Great Britain isn't the biggest baseball country or region, rather.
No.
I do know that Great Britain's not a country. I'm not that dumb for it.
Wow. There you go. Burning on nationality, very good. Self-inflicted humour. That's a very British thing. Now Jerry, sitting up on the high ground. They're still running the AimGod on the Ana and expecting the Genji with the Ana. So Myunbong not on the Ana himself. I'd love to see him go back to it, but you do need to fend off Tuba somehow.
Yeah, 2 minutes is enough time to build up this win condition ultimate that you're looking for, to get the nano, to get the blade up. But I think that Boston's playing this much smarter, though. They're backing up. They're letting the turret at least do something. They're not just all going to die where the turret can't help them. AimGod is nearing nano. That dynamite should get him there.
Jerry that was a very risky move. Jumping to the high ground in the sights of AimGod. The nano's going to just get placed onto Tuba to try and get the damage done. I mean, he hasn't got a blade, but he might just be able to build up to it. There's the kill onto Fusions. This is going to be it. It doesn't matter if Tuba goes down here. They got bodies on the point. Myunbong falls, and 33% is capped. Washington Justice, 2-1 now, up in the series. Boston, they need your support back at home right now because they are 1 map away, Hex, from getting eliminated from the Summer Showdown.
Yeah, they will be able to pick the next map. That is the format change as we've now officially commenced the Summer Showdown playoffs. But yeah, they just didn't have an answer. It was no one's surprised that Washington's game plan is to nano Tuba. They did it over and over again on offense and on defense. The moment that Tuba burned his blade on first point defense and stayed on the Genji, you should have known, like, oh, that's just their plan. Like, obviously that's their plan, because it looked like I'm switching off of Genji kind of blade. It wasn't. It was just a bad blade. But yeah, Boston's going to have to come up with an answer to this, because I would imagine that Washington's going to try to play the same style. Maybe the map choice will deter Washington Justice from playing Nanoblade.
Well, just pick a map Genji is not good on. There's not many of them, let's be real, especially the way Tuba's playing right now. Boston are on the ropes. Ropes is what I was trying to say. Boston are on the ropes. We're going to jump to a quick break while I find my words. We'll see you in a bit.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile.
Boston Uprising lose Anubis, and if they lose one more, they're going to be knocked out of the Summer Showdown. Washington Justice, after those nanoblades, they're looking pretty good going into the later stages of the tournament. We are going on to Rialto is our next map. I keep wanting to say King's Row. I just want to see King's Row, okay?
They could not look any different. You know, you lived in England. The sun does not exist in England. Rialto is a beautiful sunlit city with beautiful rivers and whatnot. They could not be any further apart. That's neither here nor there. You're right, we're going to Rialto, and I think this is actually a pretty solid map pick from Boston. If you don't have a good answer to the Genji Nanoblade, I mean, Rialto is like pretty wide open, it's pretty big, so getting a Genji in those close quarters fights that often happened on Temple of Anubis, and even to a lesser extent on Hollywood, could be a little more difficult.
Yeah, definitely. Although, if we see what we've been seeing now, and Tuba being, I wouldn't say escorted by Stitch, but if Stitch plays the Tracer here too, and we saw more of what Shock were kind of doing, with Striker just permanently playing on the flank, I don't think it'll be that difficult. Of course, we'll have to wait and find out. We're jumping into game right now. The Boston Uprising, though, when they added Punk to their roster, their teamfight win percentage did go up. Punk has definitely been a big factor for the team over the last few weeks, and he has been a very, very good addition. We praise Malmbong and Jerry a lot, of course, but Punk and Fusions, of course, having a good tank line is also important, especially when you're having to deal with a DPS like Tuba. They're throwing everything at him, but Tuba's still managing to delay his cooldowns, make sure he has the dash for when the rocks and the shield bashes come out. He's playing Genji almost perfectly. I think it's going to be up to Punk here. Maybe save the Flux, although it is a big ask for the Nanoblade when it comes out. You see him come in, Flux him up, and then hopefully find the kill there.
It just does seem, though, that Boston is taking half measures against this Genji, though. Like, I think you need the immortality field to make sure that, like, there's a couple swipes that go a different way, and while his back is turned, you can hit him with another stun. Because stunning the Nano Genji hasn't been the problem. Literally every time he's been nanoed and goes after the team, he's been stunned. The problem is he's nanoed, so he just wakes up and then continues doing it. So you need a stun and then another stun or a pull, and to enable all that, to give yourself the time to do it, I think you really need the immortality fields. I mean, look, Myungbong is a great Ana. You're absolutely right. And hitting an anti-heal might help on the Genji too, but still he's nanoed. Hitting the sleep dart is just too difficult at this level, especially when they're taking these fights in these small rooms, and it's just too much clutter to be able to even track the Genji. So Washington, not surprising, even on the defense, they're going to run the Genji, but no nano this time. And we saw how that worked out for them on Hollywood. Not well.
Yeah, that wasn't great. Although Bap is so good on this
this
map, so many nice walls. Stitch on the Widowmaker. Definitely a hero he's been criticized for before, not only in Overwatch League, but way back when in Apex. He's going to be facing up against Jerry on the Ashe. I want to see how Tuba's going to take these fights, because I did mention maybe Stitch go on the flank, although it's a bit more difficult on the defense. We can't all be striker, unfortunately. Nice little pincer maneuver here.
Yeah.
Carl-Hex is going to be on the flank as well on the Mega Pack. Raw gets anti-naded, but this is a sightline and a half for Stitch.
Nice
My word. He's going to flip around.
Great awareness.
He can hear the Tracer too.
Yep.
And now he has sights.
Yeah, I mean, like, a lot of people, we talk about how great the sound design in this game is, but it has to be. Get yourself a good pair of headphones, and I guarantee you your win rate will go up, because just hearing things and being aware of the situation is so important. I mean, that's why you see so much crouch walking. It's to hide locations.
Oh, no, you can't hide from anything. Fortunately, wall's going to come out.
Perfect
15
Stitch.
seconds of we're going to wait. Oh, dearie me. Jerry got whip
Stitch really helping out the broadcast there. Perfect timing from Stitch.
Yeah. Let me show you a different way we can see people. The sights are now down for the Widow. You knew Carl-Hex was behind. There he is. He's found it. The duel of the century. Nope, maybe not. Carl-Hex does manage to find the melee kill, but the rest of his team are going to fall into the Riviera as Tuba finds the dash through two people. 2 minutes now on the clock for the Boston Uprising to attack. This blade is going to be, and could be rather blunt here without the nano boost, but an armor pack might just do it. They haven't got that immortality field. It's going to be up to Halo to try and whip shot him away, stun him, and try and do as much as he can to save his Ana.
Yeah, maybe we'll finally get a good sleep dart on it. Like I said, it's not the stuns haven't been the issue. It's just about trying to clean them up. But without Nano, much more vulnerable. I think he just wants to maybe make sure this Tracer can't do whatever. Again, Genji much better at dueling Tracers.
That is really nice. They forced out the recall super early. Immortality field has already gone down. Nano Blade maybe. Tuba is up in the stratosphere. There's the Blade. Oh, there's no way, Jerry. You ain't surviving that one, son. A recall away from Carl-Hex as well. He did get sliced in it, but he's going to be able to get out ASAP. That blade was meant for one thing, and it was Jerry's life, and he managed to secure it. They're still contesting the payload with a flux going off as well. Do they have the damage to follow this one up? I'm not entirely sure they do. Punk is going to have to back around this corner again. Receives a lot of armor, so he's not going to go down either, but Justice is just fending off everything that Boston Uprising are throwing at them.
Yeah, well, they have the immortality field there. They do get a giant ante right now, and that should open things up as Aim God goes down and everyone else falls low. The healing's simply not there now without Aim God.
Yeah, there's no way you just lose this fight. There you go. Tuba at least finds one on the exit, but that headshot from Jerry, that was when he clicked the headshot, like the bongo just hit the ground. There was no way of surviving that, unfortunately. Nano now available for the Justice, or not available right now, but Aim God has swapped to the Ana, so they're going to be able to recontest at least. Rialto rather treacherous this first point.
Yeah, they will get back and be able to fight this one, are the Justice. They don't have any ultimates just yet. Stitch is taking a ton of damage, and so is Janu, but they're the closest to their ultimates. They need to stay alive in this poke war.
They do. Oh.
Janu needs to get his flux up. It has to happen.
There's the Bob. Oh, that's so unlucky! He actually would have
Podcast
gone in the
left.
water. Well, it doesn't matter because Halo actually boops him, or Arc, sorry, even boops him straight in. So this and Janu do end up going down. Boston Uprising are going to claim this payload as soon as they clean up everybody else. Overtime is here, but yeah, Mayhem gone, and everybody else is going to fall. Nice little squat there for ColorX as well. Never misses a chance to be in.
I mean, Bob just did get a lot of resources and attention out of the team, too, so it's actually a nice bot from Jerry. They end up having to use Sleep Dart on him and puts the Ana out of position, because Ana, if she didn't Sleep Dart there, was going to die to the Bob. And then it means that both supports are out of the fight, out of the fray, so there's no healing on the payload. Washington walks right through it, because it took the Brigitte and the Ana to deal with the Bob and the backlines that were both sitting out of sight lines for far too long for Overwatch, and that just led to Boston being able to roll over the front of the Justice.
Beautiful little sight line for Stitch. Can't quite find the headshot on Myungbong. However, a Slep Tracer is going to be what they find with the sights. They know exactly where ColorX has been.
That's my shot.
Line himself out for that one. He had nowhere else to walk, so that was an easy headshot by Stitch. He can even spawn camp at this point as well. That's such a disgusting sight line if you have a shield with you too. Nice little reset dash there by Tuba.
You can't even leave spawn. You can't even leave spawn without your tanks right here, because Stitch is looking directly into the spawn, and he's going to have double shield up here. So pretty much you have to wait out here or do what Jerry did and go very, very far. Of course, all the tanks can roll out here freely. But yeah, it's putting a Widow right there just makes your rollout that much harder.
Even Nana's getting a bit of damage down. That's one of my favorite things to do is Nana, just shoot people.
Nanoblade's ready. Early rally from Boston.
Yeah, and they have to make it over this very, very small pathway. Oh dear, Fusions. He didn't have shift, so he was just kind of duck, dip, diving and dodging, trying to stop himself getting headshot, but it didn't end up going out. I think they don't use anything here. Fusion's going down. The cart should roll back at any moment too. 45 seconds on the clock for the Uprising, but look at how many ults Justice have.
Yeah, they've got everything that they need. I wouldn't mind if Justice, if they saw the opening, just went for a Nanoblade early just to end this before it even starts. Who's the Nano target here for the Uprising?
I mean,
it's been Jerry so far.
I think you just put it. There's the Nano, there's the Blade, even the hit two, but guess what? The resets are coming. Fusion's almost accepting his own fate. Tuber a little bit more restrained on that Blade. He knows he's done the damage necessary in this fight. 10 seconds remains. It's going to be ColorX the one to touch. Jerry switching over to the Widowmaker to find a crucial pick, but can he get it done? ColorX is going to be able to get onto the payload, but he's 96 HP. A body shot from Stitch will end his life rather swiftly. He's getting healed from the payload and forces the recall as well. There's the body shot I was talking about. Pug's going to be able to touch too to contest for some additional time. Send himself up to the skies as well, but Aim got instantly taking him out. And if he didn't, Tuba definitely would. Raw's going to take care of Fusions too, and that is going to be it. The payload halted halfway to the second point. Win condition on the board for the Justice in this series. Boston Uprising might be sent home out of the Summer Showdown right here, right now. The Washington Justice, they've turned it up to 11 hex. Tuba's Nanoblades have been so good, and Stitch is, I wouldn't say showing up with the Widowmaker, but he's definitely doing his job. He's not hitting Carpe levels just yet, but still pressuring out someone like ColorX and getting sights on sights online that much is so good to help with the information game.
He also played a fine bit of self-defense, too, because really what you want out of your Tracer in ColorX is to be able to go deal with the Widow, and by deal with her, I don't mean, force out an SMG fight and have to recall, but eliminate the Widow, get that clip, get the melee confirm, and then come back to the fight so we have a 6v5. ColorX was harassing him, he was in the back line, he was chasing him down a little bit, but it was never enough to really deter Stitch. Stitch always had grapple on cooldown, did enough body damage and SMGs. I think he died once or twice, but that's not what you want to happen in that matchup. You want ColorX back in the mix so that you can force that advantage, and Stitch played self-defense pretty well. No surprise that the Justice wait for their win condition of Nanoblades, but they didn't really need it. They were just always in a nice spot. And to be able to hold on the second point and stall out and put your Widow up there, that's brutal. I mean, that's like a minute walk back just to get where you want to be, and then they died on the bridge. So really rough. Washington, I think they're going to go for Nanoblades here, Joss. I think they might.
It's the safest bet in the history of bets, I think. There's no way that they're not. I mean, okay, so Myungbong is going over to the bat. They know it's happening. Nice little headshot from Stitch. Biggest head hitbox though in the game is Orisa. Ooh, he knows he's there. He's being sneaky. Yeah, replacing the Venom Mine just to make sure he doesn't get jumped on from behind. Although you can jump over the river there, the Riviera, using a couple of blinks, but... Oh. Okay. Fusion's taking a nap. He's good, though. Oh, he knows. He has armor, too, mind you. Halo and Jerry are going to go purple, and Jerry actually goes down. These bio grenades from AimGod are so good. Halo does manage to at least clean up the kill on Arc, but it looks a little bit too late, although I say that as Pug pushes Janu into the moat. Now Raw fighting on the payload. There's a spawn advantage in the favor of Justice, and like you said, Hex, they are just waiting for this Nano Blade, so Tuba building up to this in this preceding engagement is going to be at the name of the game.
Well, I mean, you're kind of just trying to count this map in how many nanoblades do you need, and I would say 2. So you'll get an extension if you get first point here, but also Stitch could just get you some early kills if he's able to hit some of these grapple shots. Boston in the high ground right now. It's a little different defense than Washington played. Washington just played a clamshell on the ground.
Yeah, Stitch having a hard time getting an angle as well, unfortunately. Well, they are going to drag someone off, and it's going to be Punk. Shield's going to help for the time being. The Hulk, the Pulse will kill AimGod. There you go. That's the start that you want. Nano Boost is going to be available. So is that Blade, I can imagine, 10% away. The only things that are winning these fights for the Justice.
Well, Jerry wants to take this high ground to see if one of his tanks stays with him on this back angle. There was also a very brief time where the order of the day was always to have your Brigitte with your Widow, and that just felt really unfair. It was also when Brigitte's shield was better, so they just had this little sniper nest there while your tanks roll over the rest of the team.
There's the Nano, there's the Blade in the back. Doesn't get rocked, he completely missed it. In fact, Tuba dived through the rocket, looked like. Unfortunately, he didn't get the reset dash, but they were able to clean up Fusions on the tail end of it. Stitch falls, but whatever. We managed to kill the front line, and we're going to get the payload moving, plus get a point set up. Not like I'm not dissing Stitch there. It just doesn't matter.
I know, but it's just what it sounded like. I imagine Stitch listening into it back, and just like single tear runs down his face.
What do you mean? There's the rally for the re-engage. They have Flux too. A lot of ults online for the Boston Uprising. Justice nearing there, so they have to just survive right now. That's all they have to do. A big dynamite as well. Very late rally. Unfortunately, AimGod ends up going down to Myungbong of all people with the help of the Orisa. Bob's going to get on the payload too to make sure that no C9s are happening. It is 0.85 a meter away. That Flux doesn't do too much, and now 50 seconds does remain for the Justice to try and do something. The Flux from Punk could be all that they need, but that Supercharge is dishing so much damage, and Tuba's being able to build up a blade rather quickly too. But Jono ends up going down now, and now Washington Justice are on the back foot, Hex.
Yeah, they have to reset. It is time to absolutely reset, and it doesn't look like they're going to be in a position to. They're going to lose Roar at the end. No one else should die here, but it's one last push for the Washington Justice. They got absolutely no value out of any of those ultimates. The Flux went up, and everyone came down somehow healthier and happier. Stitch has switched onto the Ashe so that he can get some burn damage in, and then maybe Tuba can get some dash throughs. They need to survive in this fight long enough for the only thing that's really won them fights today, and that's Nanoblade, both at 80% and counting up.
Oh no. So Master Color Hex will try and deal with them at least.
Someone's got touch. All right.
Yeah, they got the touch.
I mean, the last couple of days I'm nervous even if someone's really, really close.
Yeah, I would be too, to be fair with you. Tuba just needs to stay alive. He has 10% towards that blade, or needs 10%,
I think you just go,
sorry.
just go. You just nano him first and let him hit one shot.
Nano, there's the blade in the back. He's already taken out one. Oh, that's it. This fight is very much done. The payload has been delivered. And he's just going to round about on the rest. Clean it up as well. Ooh, spicy ghost there. It's nice. Not bad at all. It's beautiful seeing Genji back in the mix. Now 2 minutes remains. Okay. They just got to get under that bridge, Hex. This is so close. Boston is so close to going out now.
Here's what I would say, given the state of this matchup. 2 minutes is enough for Nanoblade, and that's all you need to know. And that's really all that you need to know. Washington can come in. Maybe they'll win a fight off of a Flux or a rally or something else. They're just going to take all the free push in the world. And yeah, it's the only thing that's really been consistently winning fights for Washington. So ignore the music. Don't let it get in your head. It's not that ominous. Just wait and get Nanoblade.
We're on the same wavelength. I was about to mention the ominous music coming in. There's the bolt from Jerry. They should be able to burn this down. There's no way it survives for too long. Gets too much damage done. There we go. Collex is going pretty low, but it doesn't matter. He gets the recall off and kills off Arc. A quick reset for Janu, who knows it's over, but the Blade's halfway there, Hex. 1 minute and 29 seconds remaining and a couple of meters to there too. Oh my god, someone please kill Tuba. There he is, finally dead. Building up an extra 20%, mind you.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. And you want to be ahead as the Genji instead of your Ana. Ana builds it so quickly, you know, based on... If a Dynamite comes in from Jerry, Aim God is pretty much going to have his Nano Boost, so Tuba's just got to get a couple dashes in here. And, yeah, like I said, over halfway there, and only half of the clock burned down, right on schedule. I like this from Boston, though. Initiate. Don't let them just come in and do whatever.
They saw the massive anti-nade, and, yeah, Punk just hit it. Killing off Aim God's pretty good. Delays the Blade, the Nano Blade even more here. They are going to rally in, though. Tuba might just go with a Naked Blade here, maybe. The Flux is going to find one. Punk is going to crash back down to Earth, but that Mutanti field, the healing is just insane from the Uprising, keeping everybody alive. Ark's going to fall too. The Nano Blade's available, but Punk blows up. The perfect pulse bomb from Color Hex. They need to reset. 30 seconds remains.
You don't have to jump in the river necessarily, but yeah, that's fine.
You're going to get reset anyway. Yeah, you're going to have to go. They've got it. It's the same time again, Hex. OT just around the corner.
All right, so the counter Nano is ready for Boston, as is Bob. And Bob can absolutely deter a Genji, at least make him use deflect so you're not getting as many swipes. All comes down to this.
Nano Blade, Tube's in the sky, he gets booped away, but still has a dash. This might be good! He gets over the field, and he gets Billboard and Halo! That whip shot cost them the entirety of this map, I think. Aim God is going to kill Fusion, so that's going to be it. The Boston Uprising are out. Washington Justice are going to deliver the payload, end the series 3-1, and we are not seeing the Uprising in the Summer Showdown. Washington Justice have clinched their place in 12th.
Memories of the old super jump Genji. He gets launched to the moon from a whip shot, but it lands him right onto the back line. Ana gets the dash resets. Tuba is, I mean... It is about as telegraphed can be. Washington didn't win really any fights in the last couple maps without Nanoblade. It was just the Nanoblade show. Boston never had a pure answer for it. It's very difficult to defend against. Like I said yesterday, I give it about a week before people are really, really annoyed that Nanoblade is meta. But they executed, and Tuba ends up, you guys can't see the cards, with 80% elimination participation, which pretty much goes to the point that it was the Washington Nanoblades beating the Boston Uninspirings.
Oof. Okay,
I'm
that
sorry.
was
I just had that one loaded up, but, you know, I'm sorry, Boston.
Can't blame me for it. Congratulations, Washington, and clinching their in their space. It was all on those Nanoblades. The OT was triggered twice, once before first and once before that golden box of victory. They managed to do it. Unfortunately, Boston Uprising fans a little bit deflated after that one, but there's always next time, that is for sure. If today has proven one thing, the roster definitely has sparks of brilliance, both Jerry and Myungbong and Punk.
Yeah.
Doing a fantastic lot of work today. However, with the Washington Justice taking the W, it will mean Tuba is going to be your player of the match. Surprise, surprise. His blades were so good today. As soon as they switched it up, we saw them a little bit on the Baptiste early, and then the blades weren't doing a whole bunch, but as soon as he gets that nano, his control of the blades and the cooldowns too, mind you, you do have to be patient in this meta, as there is a lot of stuns, or just not even in this meta to be fair, just as a Genji in general. Got to wait for those stuns to come out, hit the dashes, and hey, you're going to end up like Tuba, hitting the 6Ks on the regular.
Yeah, and the target acquisition is so important to be able to find low health targets to reset the dash, because that's really what enables the blade, is getting the one kill so you get another. If you get shut down early and miss a swipe and then people are able to retreat or you get halted back, you're just waving a pool noodle out there. And you can't really do anything. People are laughing at you as you're glowing and being ineffective with a sword. But he's able to find these targets. I think he had a reset on Bob once, which was super intelligent. So it's not like the highest tier Genji play we've ever seen, but being able to really come in clutch when you need it, when you get that nano. If you don't get value out of a nano blade and that's your game plan, you've wasted 2 ultimates and you've just opened the door for the other team. Boston could have played around it a little more, I think. Maybe the Ana wasn't the best choice, but it's Myungbong's best hero. But he was rarely getting the sleep darts, and you know it's a really hard ask on your Ana. But Tuba, yeah, he's been kind of much maligned this year, but I think he's finally found his meta, found his hero, and Washington has found a style to play around it.
Well, now, after today, we're going to jump into the... Well, we have technically jumped into the Summer Showdown. Of course, the standings are on your screen right now. Tournament format's always exciting to watch. No hero pools. Loser picks map. Winner picks the first map in the Series 2. Cash money on the line, like you always say, Hex. And a lot of points, too, towards the end of the season standings. It's all to play for here in the Overwatch League Summer Showdown. It's going to be an exciting one in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and, you know, don't go anywhere after this matchup because we actually do have the selection show right after this one. And our great, great friend, and I'm not saying that because I think he's technically my boss. I don't know. I have like 8 bosses. It's like office space up in here. But John Spector has tweeted out that we're going to make the selection show a little bit interesting. $1,000 to whichever player or team rep has the funniest reveal of their opponent or response to being selected tonight. It's all about the entertainment, and you get a little $1,000 just for being funny. That sounds like a good deal. So the selection show is going to be sick. I'm definitely tuning in after this.
Yeah, it sounds good to me. This... Can we get the, if we make a funny joke, can we get the $1,000? Is that how that works?
Well, first of all, neither of
half of the team.
First of all, neither of us has ever made a funny joke. Second of all, we're already being compensated, I think. I don't know if I have a clause in my contract of like if I get a good ha-ha, do I get a bonus, but I don't think you and I have to worry about it.
Well, is Josh technically signed to a team? Maybe he can make it? Maybe he could buy a toupee. I don't know. We're going to jump to a quick break, guys. Do not go anywhere. The selection show is coming up next.